All right, we'll take a look at review problems 2.9, and while we're at it, 2.10. Writing these sentences as logical propositions and then finding the negations of each statement. To get started, we'll define a couple of predicate functions. F of x will be the statement x is my friend. And we'll also have t of x is the statement that x is tanned. So those will be used while we do the problems here. Everyone is my friend, so that means for all x, x is my friend. No one is my friend would be that for all values of x, it is false that x is my friend. Somebody is my friend would be there exists an x such that f of x is true. And somebody is not my friend, there exists an x such that f of x is false, that f of x is not true. Okay, now how do I express the negations of these? Well, if you notice, we have symmetry here. So the negation of for all x, f of x will be this line here. There exists an x such that not f of x. So these two lines here are negations of each other. Also, there exists x such that f of x, the negation of this would be that for all x, f of x is false. So these two are also negations of each other. So those are the negations that we have here. Continuing on to the next few examples. No one is tanned, so for all x, not t of x. Everyone is tanned would be for all x, t of x. And not everyone is tanned would be that there is somebody who is not tanned. Okay, now clearly these two are negations. Everyone is tanned, not everyone is tanned. Clearly those are negations. The negation of this statement would be there exists an x such that t of x. In other words, someone is tanned. So the negation of no one is tanned would be that someone is tanned. And so that would be the negation of that statement. Okay, the next few are a little bit more complicated, so we'll take these one at a time. All of my friends are tanned. All of my friends are tanned. Okay, so this one would be for all x, if the person is my friend, then that person is tanned. So that would be the original statement. To get the negation of the statement, I'll do the work down here to get the negation of the statement. The negation of the statement would be that it is false, that for all x, and I'm going to change this to the not p or q form, not my friend or tanned. Okay, I believe that it balances the number of parentheses. That's the same as saying that there exists somebody such that the negation is true. And that's the same as saying there exists an x such that f of x and not t of x. So that would be the negation. And in plain English, that would say there is someone who is my friend and not tanned. Another way of saying is at least one of my friends is not tanned. So that would be the another way of writing that. All right, on to the next problem. At least one of my friends is tanned. At least one of my friends is tanned. So there exists somebody, there exists an x, such that the person is my friend and tanned. There is somebody who is my friend and tanned. to get the negation of this statement, the negation would be that, so let me write down the original statement. So the negation of this would be that for all x, the thing inside the parentheses here is false. So that's the same as saying for all x, not f of x or not t of x. Okay. Now this is certainly correct. I'm going to rewrite this into the implication form. This is not p, so there's my p, not p, or this whole thing is q. So for all x, f of x implies not t of x. And so this would say that all of my friends are not tanned. If somebody is my friend, then that person is not tanned. So that would be the reversal. Next. Everyone is my friend and tanned. So this would be for all x, they're my friend and they're tanned. So that would be the original statement. Define the negation. The negation of for all x, f of x and t of x. This would be that there exists an x such that not f of x or t of x, or that there exists an x such that not f of x and not t of x. I'm sorry, I got this backwards. There's an and here, so this should have been an and this should have been an or. I apologize. So there's an and here, so not f of x and t of x, which would be not f or not t. So somebody isn't my friend or isn't tanned would be the way to express this sentiment in Common English. Going to the next one. No one who isn't tanned is my friend. No one who isn't tanned is my friend. No one who isn't tanned is my friend. So this would mean that for everyone, if they're not tanned, then they're not my friend. No one who isn't tanned is my friend. So if they're not tanned, that implies that they're not my friend. So that would be the way of writing this. So if I take the negation, and also another way of writing this would be if I take the contrapositive, I could write this as for all x, f of x implies t of x. That would be a completely legitimate way of doing this as well, taking the contrapositive. For everybody, if they're my friend, then they're tanned. Okay, and so this one reverts back to this one that we did earlier. All of my friends are tanned, no one who isn't tanned is my friend. So this is exactly the same sentiment as what I see here. So the negation would be exactly what we had earlier. Okay, next. Anyone who is tanned is my friend. Anyone who is tanned is my friend. And so this would be for all x. If they're tanned, then they're my friend. Okay, to find the negation for all, the negation of for all x, then converting this again, not p or q. This would be that there exists an x such that t of x and not f of x. So the forever becomes a there exists, and then by De Morgan's laws, not the first is t of x, the or becomes an and not the second is not f of x. So someone is tanned, but not my friend. Anyone who is tanned is my friend. The opposite would be someone is tanned, but not my friend. So that would be the negation of that. Anyone who is my friend is tanned. So if somebody is my friend, then the person is tanned. And that matches what we've seen twice here. So that's the third time we've seen this example. For all x, f of x implies t of x. And so the negation of that would be what we saw earlier. None of my friends are tanned. None of my friends are tanned. So this would be for all x, if they're my friend, then they are not tanned. To take the negation, I would have the negation of for all x, not the first, or the second. So there's my p, so not p or q is this whole thing. So there's my q. And so this becomes there exists an x such that the negation of the first, the or becomes an and then negation of the second. And so someone is my friend who is also tanned. Another way of saying this is that at least one of my friends is tanned. And so this was an exercise in basically changing the English into logic and then taking practice in doing negations and then also turning the negation into back into ordinary English.